let's talk about the shittiest Star Wars show or TV series ever made, which is The Acolyte. Yes, I am not joking. The Acolyte was, well, it was something, man. It was something that the fans did not expect, myself included. Like, I really liked this story that they had. Like, they released the first teaser with this mysterious character in purple, I guess, in this purple clothes, I guess, which is interesting. And the story just was pretty insane because I think that the first story was about the ancient Jedi's discover an ancient old enemy, blah blah blah, something like that. And I was like, "Ooh, this is very interesting." All right, yes, it got released, and people were not happy. Oh boy, no, there were so many things that just happened before the series release, like interviews gone wrong, like just people at the Star Wars Expo, which is the big Star Wars event that they had with all the characters, all the actors. Like Ewan McGregor was there, and also the producer of The Acolyte said, "Well, you know what? The Acolyte is for women. Star Wars is for women, man. Come on, let's go." Obviously, people were not happy about that because Star Wars is pretty much for everyone. And George Lucas, obviously, who made Star Wars, had the intention of just creating a universe for everyone, man. There is no specific, like, there's no this or that. This is for guys, this is for girls. No, it is not that. Like, Star Wars is for everyone. And I think, I would say, like, they brought some wokeness to this certain show, and I can't just believe it. Like, obviously, this show is about twins. I need to Google their names. Osha and also, what's their other name? Osha and the other one doesn't say which character. I don't know. Okay, well, the twins, right? You have Osha and you have this other character, this other girl, which is interesting. And yeah, they're actually like bred by witches. Interesting, right? Yeah. Obviously, we had the Dathomirian sisters, right? That's very interesting. Really like that. And now we have these new witches, and they brought, or they made Osha and her sister, but they're actually the same person, but they're twins, which doesn't make sense. Okay, that's okay, right? So they're twins, alright? They were brought up there, they were brought up by these witches, and suddenly the Jedi appeared, right? The Jedi say, well, you know what? You guys are witches, right? You have children, we already know that. We're here to explore your world and stuff like that. There were weird, force sensitive things going on inside your planet. We're here to investigate, and we're here to bring those girls with us, right? Back to the Jedi Temple. Obviously, the witches don't really want that. But now, the Jedi, they're an order of peace that was obviously set during the High Republic era. So the Jedi are actually the ancient knights of the universe, right? And they want everyone to be safe, which is quite understandable, obviously. But obviously, the High Republic is part of the peak, I guess, the peak of the Jedi, right? It's literally quite peak, I really like the High Republic. The stories were interesting. Like, there's a lot of mystical, there is a lot of mystery, and there's a lot of investigation and detective stories going on. Like, the mystical side is really interesting because the Jedi are actually growing up, to be certainly the Jedi Order that we see in episode 1, 2, and 3. That's interesting. But we also have, like, a lot of things can happen in the universe. Like, I heard there were some stories during the comics that had like mysteries and just ancient creatures from the deep. But obviously, the Acolyte is about the Sith returning. Like, there are bad Jedi's like Sith here to try to kill the Jedi, right? So Osha and her sister get brought to the Jedi Temple, but before that happened, something happens, man. I don't know, the Temple of the Witches just breaks down, gets lit on fire by one of the sisters, by one of the twins, and one of them, Osha, gets brought to the Jedi Temple by Master, what's his name? Soul. Master Soul is played by Lee Jung-ji, which also is the main character from Squid Game, which is really interesting. I really liked his performance. He was a great character, so that's nice to see. We also have Carrie-Anne Moss, who played one of the first Jedis that we've encountered in the series, which is really interesting. I really like, two great actors, right? For sure. Alright, that's nice. We also have Daphne Keane, who played X-23 and Wolverine, or Logan, playing Jackie. Jackie is also this new creature, this new alien, which is really nice, really, really interesting, right? Alright, we also have Vernestra Rowe, right? She appeared in the comics, so she's actually a character set from the other, other media, so she's brought back in the show, which is really nice. I really like that. She's a great character, and she has this lightning, or this lighting, wait, Jedi whip, I guess, lightsaber Jedi whip, I guess, yeah. So that's really interesting, a really, really cool weapon. So there we go. All right, we also have Torben. Torben is this, well, I'm not quite sure. He's like, in the flashbacks, he's pretty young, and in the, 20 years later, whatever, he's pretty old. He grows a beard and stuff like that. He doesn't really do a lot, but sure. We also have Jord. I really liked Jord, like he was a really annoying character, but he had the great calls, alright? So there we go. And we had Kalnaka. Kalnaka is this Chewbacca-ish Wookiee Jedi, which is really interesting, or like a Wookiee Jedi, right? I really like those. So, hey, alright, the Jedi group here was really interesting, but the dialogue, man, fuck. The story was like, what? How? Like, there was not a lot of like, there was not a lot of spice, man. Like, oh no, the Sith, or like there are enemies, and the enemies are trying to kill the Jedi because whoopsie daisy. And yeah, and there's also this other Sith, this other bad guy called Kamir. He's a really interesting villain, man. Holy shit! Like, I thought he was really, really, really nice. Kamir is this new, I would say, Sith. How, I'm not quite sure, or when or how he does fit in the timeline. I'm not quite sure. Like, we never, we never get introduced to him in like see episode 1, 2, 3, or any other TV show or movie. Just doesn't make sense to him to be here. But he's really cool, right? Everything, a part of the story is pretty interesting, right? But Kamir is this Sith who wants to train under apprentice, which is obviously one of the twins, right? So there we go. And that's really interesting. Like, Kamir has a really interesting, I would say, backstory, but obviously season 2 isn't happening. It got cancelled. So, oh, boy, they had a great world building. The story was a bit shite, but I would have loved to see season 2 just to see what happens. Like, they teased Yoda at the end. Like, come on, bro, come on, give me Yoda. And they also like had Ki-Adi-Mundi in this series, which canonically doesn't make sense because he's much older. Well, okay, in the show he seems to be older, but in theory he's much younger, so he doesn't really need to be there. But they probably just wanted a Jedi to, hey, look, a familiar face, haha. It doesn't make sense, man. Like I said, we have Vernestra. She's a familiar face, obviously from the comics, but Ki-Adi-Mundi doesn't need to be here. You could have picked like Yaddle of one of the other Jedi or members that are much older than, they have this snake guy from episode 1. He's much older than the other Jedi, but it doesn't make sense sometimes. Like, I think the writer herself, she just kind of twisted things around. Like, oh well, what if the Force is actually female? Imagine saying something like that, which she did. Bad times. I mean, there were great characters in the show. Like, there were a lot of great characters in the show, but just the story wasn't hitting it. And then obviously they also teased one character that everyone loved, Darth Plagueis. That's also the mystical side. Like, what the hell is Darth Plagueis doing on the same island from where Kamira is? Like, is he his teacher? Is Kamir the apprentice of Darth Plagueis? But that doesn't make sense because Darth Sidious, like Emperor Palpatine, is the apprentice of Darth Plagueis. So why is he there, and what's happening? Why is there an old man on an island with like long fingernails and whatever? So it doesn't make sense really. Sometimes, yeah, in this show you just need to look at it at like one thing, right? You just don't really need to connect every single dot. Like I said, I'm just a fan liking Star Wars. Like, I really love The Acolyte. because I love everything about Star Wars. But I grew up with it, like you can see over here, and you can see the Rebels poster over there. But oh, and this poster over here too. I really like Star Wars. I like the world. I like the mystical side and the mystery about it all. But something in the Acolyte didn't make sense, right? Like there were a few things that really just didn't connect with me, right? So there we go. We also had this great, I guess, pop song about I don't know, like the power of two. I don't know what that means. Like, is that the new sentence to describe the force, the power of two or whatever? But I don't know. She like the musician who made that song. You know, bro. Hey, hands up. She beautiful, man. She beautiful. But hey, okay. So there we go. But I don't know. Like there were a lot of different things that could have been so much better. Like, I know the High Republic comics are really great. People enjoyed that. The Acolyte, well, there was something else. Like, there are a lot of great TV shows on Disney Plus about like Star Wars. Like, we have Ahsoka. Really enjoyed that because they kind of they mix elements from Rebels, Clone Wars, put it all together, and it makes sense, right? Ahsoka is still Ahsoka. She didn't change a lot. Like she's older, obviously, but there we go. We have the Mandalorian. Yeah, season 3 was a bit, could have been better, but yeah, Mandalorian is still great. Book of Boba Fett is, I guess it's still great, but obviously that also could have been so much better. Like you have an episode about the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Luke, so that doesn't make sense anyway. So there we go. We have Kenobi, which is also a great show, and Andor. Andor is this fantastic show. So yeah. Obviously, we also have Rebels and Clone Wars. That's great, but really, you need to put people who really understand Star Wars in the shoes. Like if that makes sense. Like you need to place Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni in as producers. Like I really want to see Daddy Filoni as like the producer side because he knows what he does, and Kathleen Kennedy still hates. But that leads to the dark side, obviously. But hey, yeah, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, I just 100% understand what they're doing. I really want to, live in a world where Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have something to say about the creative side of things. I think Dave Filoni already has that role, but still, it's a bit less than Kathleen Kennedy, right? So I'm just the guy who likes Star Wars and wants Star Wars to be great because I've grown up with it. I still love it. I just want Star Wars to be epic and just can't wait for another Star Wars show. Like the Skeleton Crew is releasing pretty soon, I believe, and I just want Star Wars to be great, man. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Goodbye, everyone, or should I say, may the Force be with you. And Onzi.